So you're considering buying a home in Florida, and one of the big questions that comes up often is, what are my closing costs? What will my closing costs be? So we're gonna go through what you can expect that's part of the transaction and what you can expect that's outside of the transaction. So hang around, this is gonna be a good one. All right, so now we're gonna get into it, and here's the deal. There's significantly different closing costs whether you're getting a mortgage or you're paying cash. So let's talk about those lucky folks who get to pay cash for a property first. If you're looking to pay cash for a property, it is about as affordable as it can possibly be to buy a home in Florida. So you do not have any appraisals, you do not have any other lender fees, you don't have a lot of the other things that go on with the transaction. You very simply have a recording of the deed. And by the way, that's $18.50. You may also have a closing fee that is paid to the settlement agent. Generally speaking, that's anywhere from $250 to $500 on the buyer side. And believe it or not, that's pretty much it. If you have any other prorations that are had to be paid to the seller, as far as maybe they paid HOA fees in advance, that may be something that could happen where you owe them a credit. But as a cash buyer, that's about as good as it can get. But let's assume for a second that we need a loan, like the majority of people. If you need a loan, here's the number one source. Your key is that you need to speak with a lender to understand what their costs are. So all lenders will provide you it's a loan estimate is what it's called, and that's going to break down all of the charges that are associated with that particular transaction, that loan. And so as part of that, you can have just a lender fee, you can have a processing fee. Outside of the transaction, generally you're going to have an appraisal, and that fee is anywhere from say $400 to $700 for the appraisal that you're paying outside. You're also going to have the cost of inspections. So with inspections, that's something that is done off, it's not part of the closing cost per se, but it is part of the transactional cost. And so with an inspection, I highly recommend that you get one. Depending on the type of property, for a condo, you can be as low as $250 to $300. And if it's a larger home where you're trying to get mold and radon and every inspection that you possibly can, that can be more than $1,000 on inspections. So you want to make sure that you're protected, but obviously that can be a little bit costly. So then when it comes down to the actual transaction, so depending on if there's a homeowners association, there very well may be some fees associated with that. So there can be an application to the HOA. Those range anywhere from $75 to $200 for the application fees. And then sometimes they'll actually have a transfer fee of the homeowners association. Sometimes that can be called a capital contribution, and that fee varies widely. So at closing, we can see that as low as generally $500 to there's some communities where if you have mandatory golf, it can be in the tens of thousands of dollars as a one-time fee that's part of the transfer of ownership to you. On top of that, so as a buyer, it depends on which county that you're in Southwest Florida as who pays the title insurance. So that's a little bit strange how we do that here, but if you're in Collier County and there's a Naples Area Board of Realtors contract that is typically used, the buyer is paying for the title insurance. And so the title insurance charges, those basically how that works is for the first $100,000 of the purchase price, that's $575. And for every $100,000 beyond that, it's an additional $500. So on a $300,000 property, that would be $1,575 for the title insurance. So that's not so fun, is it, right? Then with the loan, you have something that is called the doc stamps on the note. So you actually have to pay taxes on all of the money that you borrow in the state of Florida. And there's also an intangible tax. So between the two of those, that number comes out to 0.55%, so a little over 0.5% of the total loan amount that you, the buyer. Now, this all sounds like a lot, right? It all sounds like a lot of different things that we need to to add up. But generally speaking, you're looking anywhere from 2 to 5% of the purchase price would be what to expect for closing costs. And depending on the type of market, the seller may be willing to actually contribute towards closing costs. Right now we are in a seller's market, and getting a seller to contribute towards closing costs is next to impossible, but that is something that can help offset some of those particular closing costs. Well, that does it for what your closing costs would be. Please remember to like and subscribe to the video. That'll help inspire me to make more videos like this for you. Thank you much.